Alright guys, welcome back. This is Shadow Drake. So now that I've shown you how to build an emergency shelter, let's actually rewind back in time and actually build a more proper shelter without the emergency shelter. However, this does not mean that you can't build the emergency shelter when you're building a shelter. It just means that I'm going to focus more on the shelter. But if you want to have an emergency shelter for eating and drinking, honestly, that's probably a good thing to do because it gives you a place to know that you have a that you're not pressured to get something up and running before you're kind of ready or later pollute the base because you have to do some inside well job. So to get this started, the first thing you kind of need to know about the actual shelter is size does matter. So ideally, you want it to be big enough for you at the start to be comfortable in the sense that, you can move around and you can bring your stuff inside if you choose to bring stuff inside. Additionally, for printers, I personally always have my printers inside. It's just, I personally feel that that's good practice, especially when you get to the hot planets, because working outside in the heat on the hot planets burns through your oxygen quickly. So having your printers inside in a relative safe area to do your print jobs, I feel like that is better. The third reason for why I would like them inside is the hygiene parameter. It's you will see that and it will be kind of just like a little shower icon that shows up, and that having bad hygiene affects your mood, and having bad mood just makes you a little bit slower, your tool usage a little slower, and you burn through your food meter a little bit faster. It's a minor enough debuff that it won't kill you, but all the same, it does bring up a good roleplay opportunity to be like, oh, hey, let me try to not be a depressed, sad little stationeer in some foreign planet. So having a shelter just overall makes your stay better and safer. And especially for the atmospheric worlds, you want a shelter for a storm because you really need to want to get everything bolted down or inside. So to build a shelter, you can build it right off the bat with the construction crate that you have, so I will be using that. However, I do recommend that you still go mining, that you still get your primary resources because you do need to be building up towards either making your shelter better or working on power. So in here I'm just gonna go through the basics. The printer for your atmospherics is the hydraulic pipe bender. And just like the electronics printer, it costs some iron, some copper, and some gold. So ideally with the early game, you want to get your three printers out. That's the pipe bender, the electronics printer, and the tool printer. Now the tool manufacturer just needs some iron and copper, but it will be helpful, especially if you're going to have it inside, because all your printers need to be welded. So the sooner you can build it before your shelter is fully set up, the better. So let's go over this. So we're going to go ahead and get started. So first thing that I recommend is just going ahead and bring your electrical supplies, your airlock supplies, and your construction supplies closer. It honestly makes it faster for building to have them close by. So the shelter. You want this up ideally by about day 2, day 3. Very similar to power. And the reason I say work on them at the same time is because the early game is really all about how fast can you get this set up. So now let's do a little thing. Let me just expand this a bit, get the alternative power sources started, because I really do need to have my solar panel, and I think having it this way would be the best. And then I'll have the solid generator, the solid fuel generator I could have, but I'll be honest, it's not going to be helpful in the early game. And because I'm going to be skipping power, I'm just going to be really working with that portable. Alright, so same thing as before. You want to cook your coal, you want to cook your copper, you want to cook your gold. Those are the primary things that you need. And now comes the layout. You don't want to make your shelter too big. A too big shelter, well, the benefit of a big shelter is you have a lot of space, but the problem is it takes longer to vacuum out and get set up ahead of time. And remember, you're on the clock for your survival needs. So what I am going to do is basically do a 4x5 shelter. That should be more than enough space for me at the beginning, and it shouldn't be as hard to set up. So what I am going to do is my dividing line. The whole reason why I have my foundation like this is my printers are all going to be inside. So to make a 4x5, that's to accommodate the fact that my printers in a long line will occupy that much space. So let me see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's perfect. And now 4 is like this. And this sets the foundation. So with the foundation going, ideally the first thing you need is just going ahead and double weld stuff. So I'm going to go ahead and double weld here, double weld over here, and just basically double weld the spot that is going to be my shelter. This is why I said that power and shelter work hand in hand, because there's a lot of time waiting for ingots to be printed from the arc, the arc furnace. There's a lot of time for the auto lathe to finish its jobs, all that stuff. So while you're waiting for that, it is the best time for you to work on your shelter. And like I said, you don't want to make it too big. At most, I would say 5x5 would be the best, the biggest that you should ever do. And with this foundation here, what that allows me to do is move stuff inside. This would be my inside area. Yes, you could technically bolt everything down outside and work with that, but like I said, personally, I like to work with my stuff inside. So everything that I can get inside, I just get it inside. And the inside will be right here. That's my water, my air, my boxes, my other stuff. This is why, if you watch my other playthroughs, I have a very messy base. It's because everything is inside, and I will go through it later for cleaning it up. That includes my water and my oxygen. Again, the only reason all this goes inside is because a storm will happen on day 8. And when that happens, anything on that lander goes away. So, alright, now that that's done, let's cook about 5 gold. Because I still need to print the pipe bender. Now, I'm not going to build a furnace, but honestly, when you get the iron and the copper out, you could print out a furnace so that you can start smelting things faster. But now comes the big thing. You do need an airlock. And I will make the airlock in this square right here. So I'm going to go ahead and set that out. I will need the doors. You can use glass doors and composite doors. Composite doors allow you to actually run piping and cables underneath them. So I would recommend those. However, the problem with the glass doors is that they are tiny. Tiny enough that if you want, that it is basically suit cracking opportunity if you want to bring them inside. So I am going to go ahead and get this here. And going ahead and wire up the airlock to my generator source. And I'm going to go ahead and wire power to the doors so that I can show you what I mean. So if the doors are open, you see this is a very tiny spot. Trying to get this in is, as you can see, very bad with the composite doors. Glass doors would be better. However, the problem with glass doors is you can't route cables beside the doors over here. They would actually block them. So that's why I like to get all the stuff, quote, inside. So now I got the stuff. Let's get the pipe bender out. And it's the same thing. Again, I recommend getting all your printers out. The pipe bender, the electronics printer, and the tool printer. So let's cook some more iron because we're going to need that. And let's finish the walls. Now I like to have windows kind of to see my outside production like this. You don't have to do it that way. It's up to you. Windows allow heat to come into your living space, which could be good, it could be bad. It's up to you. So then after the foundation, you make walls. So we're just gonna do that. Now, if you've noticed, I've been building them on the outer end. And the reason why I'm building it on the outside cube instead of the cube inside is because the wall placement doesn't matter for air tightness for the inside and the outside. What does happen though is if you're going to wire anything in the roof or pipe anything on the roof, building it on the frame in the frame space inside will cover up cables and pipes, making it a little bit harder for you to be able to see where they are. And so that's why I build them out this way. So you get the ugly. You get to look at the ugliness when it's all said and done. Alright, so iron is done. Let's cook the last of my copper. And let's finish out the airlock. And like I said, I didn't plan properly because, like, remember I said that the sun rises around 92. So my solar panel's not going to do much. Like I said, this video will cover making the initial shelter, which is just basically getting it set up so that you can kind of work it manually. As you can see, we got things going. Jetpack to get on the roof. As you can see, it really isn't that hard. This is something, you see, it's already coming up to being the first day. You know, in the power side of things, I basically almost had the station battery and stuff, or was capable of going to get my steel by the end of this first night. So yes, I'm being a little slow. I'm gonna cook half of it in here. But, I mean, technically the shelter is almost done. Oh. Now that we print out the pipe bender, let's go ahead and start the electronic printer. That will set me up for power. But additionally, what that would set me up for is finishing a proper airlock. I'm not going to go over that in this video. I'll go over it on the next video. See, I'm already thirsty. Okay, what I'm going to do is prep the wiring for the electronics printer, because I'm waiting for this to finish. Alright, so with that, we have an interior. We have some windows so that we can see out. we have all our stuff inside. This is the final check. Let's go check to see anything else outside that doesn't need to be outside. Oh, this fuel tank could go inside. The food and the water from the lander could go inside. Let's grab the fuel tank. Now, contrary to belief, the fuel tank is not going to explode or anything unless it gets extremely hot. And as you can see how it's already hard for me to get this in here? Yeah, that's why you should bring all of this stuff inside before you fully enclose the space. So that's a gaffe on my end. So with that, we have the doors. We have the stuff outside. We're getting our second printer, and that's honestly, I'm gonna finish the job after that. And now comes the whole active and consoles. So here's why you need the pipe bender up. This is an atmospheric world. The airlock supplies are only good for a vacuum. So what I am going to do, this is actually a good way to cut away. As you can tell, the basic shelter is already done. The one thing I forgot is maybe I'll just put a battery charger right here. So the basic shelter is done. The next video will be going over how to remove the harmful air. I'm going to go on ahead and build this up, because that at least completes the fact that I have my printers. I need cables. Plastic sheets right here. And probably going ahead and get the tool printer out as well. Need a little bit of iron, that's fine. Let's bring the gold inside. And you see, look at how this battery is already red, which is kind of a problem. Remember that I said that you'll start with the portable generator? We're going to use this portable generator to keep batteries charged up. So yeah, with that, let's head off to the next video, and we are going to finish this place by making a working airlock. And don't mind the fire, that's just the furnace releasing gases, and yeah, the portable generator releasing gases. You're the one that's releasing the gases. Yep. How much is this going? 50%. Alrighty guys, so when I return, we are going to finish this up, and I'm going to show you how to build an airlock and why you needed all these printers and stuff inside. So, hope to see you then.